Hello and welcome again to the Business of Sustainability, where we talk about corporate social responsibility and environmental sustainability in the workplace. I'm Chuck Otto. Today my guest is Katherine Darnstadt, and she is an architect who I would have to say probably thinks a little bit outside the box. I'm going to pull up her short bio that I copied off of her website and read a little bit of it to you. Katherine is an architect, educator, and founder of Latent Design, a practice at the intersection of architecture and community development, creating social, economic, and environmental impact beyond the building. Katherine is a winner of the 2013 American Institute of Architects Honor Award and was among Crain's Chicago Businesses 40 Under 40 for 2014. Katherine, welcome, and thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it. So how do you think outside the box? I mean, usually architects are dealing strictly with blueprints and kind of focusing on building structure, but it sounds like you do other things as well.
Well, absolutely. I think what we do that is quite unique for us is that we look at the entire built environment system. If you want to focus on the building itself, that is a difficult process. Understandable, but what we do is we look at the impact beyond that footprint of the building. How does it impact a larger community? How can it impact an educational platform? How does it impact the entire block? You know, buildings aren't isolated things. They have so many components, and the inhabitants of them, the people in them, have a resonating effect beyond that. So we look at the entire built system, and we look at the entire built environment and how we have one piece within that. So it's a macro and it's a micro approach, and I think that's what we do that's different, and we do that incredibly well.
Wonderful. How does that manifest itself in terms of your outreach to the community or their outreach to you?
That's a great question. More than half of our clients right now are nonprofits and community organizations, and so we have this incredible grassroots client base that comes from people seeing design as a tool for equity and more sustainable communities. And so from our 4 years of being in business, of working on these projects that are very community-based, as communities grow and build more capacity, our projects build with them as well. And so we look at it as how do we create a sustainable eco-structure to support whatever built environment system. So we could look at something from a community garden could absolutely lead to a new high school. And we've seen that thread in our projects where something incredibly small and almost isolating when you look at it within a system can lead to something much more in terms of a development of an entire block or a community.
So I guess for my what came first, the chicken or the egg question, I'd have to ask, what came first for you? This kind of this sense of larger community, or the desire to work in the field of architecture?
I can't decouple the two of them. Because buildings aren't anything without people, people aren't anything without buildings. So I mean, I can't decouple the two of them. My background started with affordable housing, and I think from within that realm, once I saw how almost little impact architects had at the table in some ways, because the decisions of the built environment are not made by us as designers. They're not made by the buildings. Other factors influence what our built environment looks like, from policy to economics to opinion and power that comes with it. So when I started my firm, Latent Design, we wanted to be a part of every decision that it makes up that built environment. And so that's what we look at. We look at that entire system, and that system involves people as much as it involves buildings.
So obviously, I mean, you're working with members of the community, but you also, because you're an architect, you need permits, you're working with the city. I mean, there's a bureaucracy to deal with. What kinds of situations come up for you that I guess if you could name a couple of real challenges today in terms of kind of that acceptance of architecture on a larger scale and taking in more about community and whatnot, where do you find challenges? Do people understand what you do or how you do it?
Yeah, I think what's interesting is we're seeing this shift right now where it was more difficult to have a private sector understanding of what the role of somebody who doesn't have the checkbook might be. Because when you look at the private sector, your client is the person with the checkbook, but we still come and say, no, our client is the larger community that this project inhabits. And so we've seen a shifting attitude over the past couple of years of firms and larger corporations that have very strong corporate social responsibility, and they're going and moving beyond that into shared value. So people are just blowing away that triple bottom line approach of saying people, planet, and profits. They're like, that's good for marketing, but let's do a no bullshit approach of how do we actually create a better system of our business, because our businesses are designed and businesses are made based on consumers. And if your consumers aren't happy in one way or another, whether it's through a product or a process, then you have no future business. And the built environment is now getting that same treatment. And so our private sector clients see it, resonate, and they're ones who have a matching mission with ours.
Oh, that's wonderful. Could you describe a project that would probably just really accentuate what it is you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the great things that we worked on over the past couple of years is looking at how can we reactivate public space and vacant space. And we've been working on that for 4 years. And now what we're doing is we're going to be launching a citywide initiative in partnership with the City of Chicago to activate various vacant spaces and plazas all over the city. And in part of that is having a micro-architecture piece that will support small business and local retail and bring back this quality of a neighborhood strip and neighborhood small businesses to the forefront. So not only do we have the architecture piece, we have the development piece, and we have this, it is rooted in social and community initiatives as well. So that's one piece where it could start from, let's look at one section, like let's look at one vacancy, but ultimately to make that vacancy better, we have to look at the entire system that made it that way. So those are interesting pieces that we look at. And then also, we've seen an expansion of our clients. So we have clients now that are firmly rooted in the private sector. That could be tech clients, that could be residential developers, so on and so forth. And they're coming because the request to work with us is coming from people within their own corporation who kind of lead social impact initiatives for the corporation itself, or from community members that are part of these private corporations advisory boards. So who demands us and who recommends us is very different. And I think we're flipping everything on its head within the field of architecture by doing that.
Very cool. Let's look 5 years down the road.
Yeah.
Where will you and your firm be, and where do you think we, the business community, will be in terms of adopting more of the CSR point of view?
Yeah, I think the business community is embracing CSR incredibly well.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be from a responsibility to a value. A responsibility implies a level of stewardship and almost hierarchy in some ways, and possibly paternalism. And so value is something on more of an equity and equal terms. So I see that shift from the private sector. And I also think for our firm, how we're fitting into that is we're going to be engaging in these additional public-private partnerships that many of our cities are kind of built upon nowadays. We'll be doing that. We'll be in the pure nuts and bolts of things. We're moving into getting our general contractor's license, so that should be in the next month or so, less than a month, that it'll be finalized. And so we're moving into the design build aspect of it. So we'll not only be licensed architects and planners, but we'll also be licensed general contractors. And so being able to bring a full comprehensive project to realization with the level of detail, craft, and mission is going to be incredibly valuable for us. So it's only going to be continued growth for our firm.
Well, it certainly sounds good. How can folks reach out to you and Latent Design to find out more? Yeah,
well, we're located in the East Village neighborhood of Chicago, 900 North Ashland, and we could be reached at our website is www.latentdesign, that's LATENT design.net, not .com, .net.
Gotcha.
And you could always email us at hello@latentdesign.net. We are incredibly friendly, so just say hello.
Seems like it, yeah. Katherine, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Chuck.
And thank you for watching.